Good morning. Today's Bible reading comes from 1 Samuel 17 through 20, Psalm 11, and Psalm 59. I would imagine they're probably related. We are reading from the Message Bible, and we are following the Seville reading plan, which there is a link down below if you're new here and need to get a copy of that to see where we're at. The Philistines drew up their troops for battle. They deployed them at Socoh in Judah and set up camp between Socoh and Azekah in Ephes Dammeth. Saul and the Israelites came together, camped at Oak Valley, and spread out their troops in battle readiness for the Philistines. The Philistines were on one hill, the Israelites on the opposing hill, with the valley between them. A giant nearly 10 feet tall stepped out from the Philistine line into the open, Goliath from Gath. He had a bronze helmet on his head and was dressed in armor, 126 pounds of it. He wore bronze shin guards and carried a bronze sword. His spear was like a fence rail. The spear tip alone weighed over 15 pounds. His shield bearer walked behind him. No, his shield bearer walked ahead of him. Ahead of him. See, that's what I get for reading between the lines. Goliath stood there and called out to the Israelite troops, "Why bother using your whole army? Am I not a Philistine enough for you? And you're all committed to Saul, aren't you? So pick your best fighter and pit him against me. If he gets the upper hand and kills me, the Philistines will all become your slaves. But if I get the upper hand and kill him, you'll all become our slaves and serve us. I challenge the troops of Israel to this day. Give me a man. Let us fight it out together." When Saul and his troops heard the Philistines' challenge, they were terrified and lost all hope. Enter David. He was the son of Jesse the Ephrathite, from Bethlehem in Judah. Jesse, the father of 8 sons, was himself too old to join Saul's army. Jesse's 3 oldest sons had followed Saul to war. The names of the 3 sons who had joined up with Saul were Eliab, the firstborn, next Abinadab, and third Shammah. David was the youngest son. While his 3 oldest brothers went to war with Saul, David went back and forth from tending to Saul to tending his father's sheep in Bethlehem. Each morning and evening for 40 days, Goliath took his stand and made his speech. One day, Jesse told David his son, "Take this sack of cracked wheat and these 10 loaves of bread, and run them down to your brothers in the camp. And take these 10 wedges of cheese to the captain of their division. Check in on your brothers to see whether they are getting along all right, and let me know how they're doing. Saul and your brothers and all the Israelites in their war with the Philistines in the Oak Valley." David was up at the crack of dawn and, having arranged for someone to tend his flock, took the food and was on his way, just as Jesse had directed him. He arrived at the camp just as the army was moving into battle formation, shouting the war cry. Israel and the Philistines moved into position, facing each other, battle ready. David left his bundles of food in the care of a sentry, ran to the troops who were deployed, and greeted his brothers. While they were talking together, the Philistine champion, Goliath of Gath, stepped out from the front lines of the Philistines and gave his usual challenge. David heard him. The Israelites to a man fell back the moment they saw the giant, totally frightened. The talk among the troops was, "Have you ever seen anything like this? This man openly and defiantly challenging Israel. This man who kills the giant will have it made. The king will give him a huge reward. offer his daughter as a bride, and give his entire family a free ride. David, who was talking to the men standing around him, asked, "What's in it for the man who kills that Philistine and gets rid of this ugly blot on Israel's honor? Who does he think he is, anyway? This uncircumcised Philistine, taunting the armies of God alive." They told him what everyone was saying about what the king would do for the man who killed the Philistine. Eliab, his older brother, heard David fraternizing with the men and lost his temper. "What are you doing here? Why aren't you minding your own business, tending that scrawny flock of sheep? I know what you're up to. You've come down here to see the sights, hoping for a ringside seat at a bloody battle." "What is it with you?" replied David. "All I did was ask a question." Ignoring his brother, he turned to someone else, asked the same question, and got the same answer as before. The things David was saying were picked up and reported to Saul. Saul sent for him. "Master," said David, "don't give up hope. I'm ready to go and fight this Philistine." Saul answered David, "You can't go and fight this Philistine. You're too young and inexperienced, and he's been at this fighting business since before you were born." David said, "I've been a shepherd, tending sheep for my father. Whenever a lion or bear came and took a lamb from the flock, I'd go after it, knock it down, and rescue the lamb. If it turned on me, I'd grab it by the throat, wringing its neck, and kill it. Lion or bear, it made no difference. I killed it. And I'll do the same with this Philistine pig who is taunting the troops of God alive. God, who delivered me from the teeth of the lion and the claws of the bear, will deliver me from this Philistine." Saul said, "Go, and God help you." Then Saul outfitted David as a soldier in armor. He put his bronze helmet on his head and belted his sword on him over the armor. David tried to walk, but he could hardly budge. David told Saul, "I can't even move with all this stuff on me. I'm not used to this." And he took it off. Then David took his shepherd's staff, selected 5 smooth stones from the brook, and put them in the pocket of his shepherd's pack, and with his sling in his hand, approached Goliath. As the Philistines paced back and forth, his shield-bearer in front of him, he noticed David. He took one look down at him and sneered. A mere youngster, apple-cheeked and peach-fuzzed. The Philistine ridiculed David. "Am I a dog that you come after me with a stick?" And he cursed him by his gods. "Come on," said the Philistine. "I'll make roadkill of you for the buzzards. I'll turn you into a tasty morsel for the field mice." David answered, "You come at me with sword and spear and a battle axe. I come at you in the name of God of the angel armies, the God of Israel's troops, whom you curse and mock. This very day God is handing you over to me. I'm about to kill you, cut off your head, serve up your body and the bodies of your Philistine buddies to the crows and coyotes." The whole earth was known that there is an extraordinary God in Israel, and everyone gathered here will learn that God doesn't save by means of sword or spear. The battle belongs to God. He's handing you to us on a platter. That roused the Philistine, and he started toward David. David took off from the front line, running toward the Philistine. David reached into his pocket for a stone, slung it, and hit the Philistine hard in the forehead, embedding the stone deeply. The Philistine crashed, face down, in the dirt. That's how David beat the Philistine, with a sling and a stone. He hit him and killed him. No sword for David. Then David ran up to the Philistine, stood over him, pulled the giant's sword from its sheath, and finished the job by cutting off his head. When the Philistines saw that their great champion was dead, they scattered, running for their lives. The men of Israel and Judah were up on their feet shouting. They chased the Philistines all the way to the outskirts of Gath and to the gates of Ekron. Wounded Philistines were strewn along the Sharaim road all the way to Gath and Ekron. After chasing the Philistines, the Israelites came back and looted their camp. David took the Philistines' head and brought it to Jerusalem, but the giant's weapons he placed in his own tent. When Saul saw David go out to meet the Philistine, he said to Abner, commander of the army, "Tell me about this young man's family." Abner said, "For the life of me, O king, I don't know." The king said, "We'll find out the lineage of this raw youth." As soon as David came back from killing the Philistine, Abner brought him the Philistine's head still in his hand, straight to Saul. Saul asked him, "Young man, whose son are you?" "I'm the son of your servant Jesse," said David, "the one who lives in Bethlehem." By the time David had finished reporting to Saul, Jonathan was deeply impressed with David. An immediate bond was forged between them. He became totally committed to David. From that point on, he would be David's #1 advocate and friend. Saul received David into his own household that day, no more to return to the home of his father. Jonathan, out of his deep love for David, made a covenant with him. He formalized it with solemn gifts, his own royal robe and weapons, armor, sword, bow, and belt. Whatever Saul gave David to do, he did it, and did it well. So well that Saul put him in charge of his military operations. Everybody, both the people in general and Saul's servants, approved of and admired David's leadership. As they returned home after David had killed the Philistine, the women poured out of all the villages of Israel singing and dancing, welcoming King Saul with tambourines, festive songs, and lutes. In playful frolic, the women sang. Saul kills by the 1,000, David by the 10,000. This made Saul angry, very angry. He took it as a personal insult. He said, "They credit David with 10,000s and me with only thousands. Before you know it, they'll be giving him the kingdom." From that moment on, Saul kept his eye on David. The next day an ugly mood was sent by God to afflict Saul, who became quite beside himself, raving. David played his harp as he usually did at such times. Saul had a spear in his hand. Suddenly Saul threw the spear, thinking, "I'll nail David to the wall." David ducked and the spear missed. This happened twice. Now Saul feared David. It was clear that God was with David and had left Saul. So Saul got David out of his sight by making him an officer in the army. David was in combat frequently. Everything David did turned out well. Yes, God was with him. As Saul saw David becoming more successful, he himself grew more fearful. He could see the handwriting on the wall, but everyone else in Israel and Judah loved David. They loved watching him in action. One day Saul said to David, "Here is Merab, my eldest daughter. I want to give her to you as your wife. Be brave and bold for my sake. Fight God's battles." But all the time Saul was thinking, "The Philistines will kill him for me, and I won't have to lift a hand against him." David, embarrassed, answered, "Do you really mean that? I'm from a family of nobodies. I can't be a son-in-law to the king." The wedding day was set, but as the time neared for Merab and David to be married, Saul reneged and married his daughter off to Adriel the Meholalite. Meanwhile, Saul's daughter Michal was in love with David. When Saul was told of this, he rubbed his hands in anticipation. Ah, a second chance. I'll use Michal as bait to get David out where the Philistines will make short work of him. So again he said to David, "You're going to be my son-in-law." Saul ordered his servants, "Get David off by himself and tell him, 'The king is very taken with you, and everyone at court loves you. Go ahead, become the king's son-in-law.'" The king's servants told all this to David, but David held back. "What are you thinking of? I can't do that. I'm a nobody. I've nothing to offer." When the servants reported David's response to Saul, he told them to tell David this. "The king isn't expecting any money from you, only this. Go kill 100 Philistines and bring evidence of your vengeance on the king's behalf. Avenge the king on his enemies." Saul expected David to be killed in action. On receiving this message, David was pleased. There was something he could do for the king that would qualify him to be his son-in-law. He lost no time but went right out. He and his men killed the 100 Philistines, brought back their evidence back in a sack, and counted it out before the king. Mission completed. Saul gave Michal, his daughter, to David in marriage. As Saul more and more realized that God was with David and how much his own daughter, Michal, loved him, his fear of David increased and settled in hate. Saul hated David. Whenever the Philistine warlords came out to battle, David was there to meet them and beat them, upstaging Saul's men. David's name was on everybody's lips. Saul called his son Jonathan together with his servants and ordered them to kill David. But because Jonathan treasured David, he went and warned him, "My father is looking for a way to kill you. Here's what you are to do. Tomorrow morning, hide and stay hidden. I'll go out with my father into the field where you are hiding. I'll talk about you with my father and we'll see what he says. Then I'll report back to you." Jonathan brought up David, with his father speaking well of him. "Please," he said to his father, "don't attack David. He hasn't wronged you, has he? And just look at all the good he has done. He put his life on the line when he killed the Philistine. What a great victory God gave Israel that day. You were there. You saw it and were on your feet applauding with everyone else. So why would you even think of sinning against an innocent person? Killing David for no reason whatever." Saul listened to Jonathan and said, "You're right. As God lives, David lives. He will not be killed." Jonathan sent for David and reported to him everything that was said. Then he brought David back to Saul, and everything was as it was before. War broke out again, and David went out to fight the Philistines. He beat them badly, and they ran for their lives. But then a black mood from God settled over Saul and took control of him. He was sitting at home, his spear in his hand, while David was playing music. Suddenly, Saul tried to skewer David with his spear, but David ducked. The spear stuck in the wall, and David got away. It was night. Saul sent men to David's house to stake it out, and then, first thing in the morning, to kill him. But Michal, David's wife, told him what was going on. "Quickly now, make your escape tonight. If not, you'll be dead by morning." She let him out of a window, and he made his escape. Then Michal took a dummy god and put it in the bed, placed a wig of goat's hair on its head, and threw a quilt over it. When Saul's men arrived to get David, she said, "He's sick in bed." Saul sent his men back, ordering them, "Bring him, bed and all, so I can kill him." When the men entered the room, all they found in the bed was a dummy god with its goat hair wig. Saul stormed at Michal. "How could you play tricks on me like this? You sided with my enemy and now he's gotten away. Michal said, "He threatened me. He said, 'Help me get out of here or I'll kill you.'" David made good his escape and went to Samuel at Ramah and told him everything Saul had done to him. Then he and Samuel withdrew to the privacy of Naoth. Saul was told David's at Naoth in Ramah. He immediately sent his men to capture him. They saw a band of prophets prophesying, with Samuel presiding over them. Before they knew it, the Spirit of God was on them, too, and they were ranting and raving right along with the prophets. That was reported back to Saul, and he dispatched more men. They, too, were soon prophesying. So Saul tried a third time, a third set of men, and they ended up mindlessly raving as well. Fed up, Saul went to Ramah himself, came to the big cistern at Seku, and inquired, "Where are Samuel and David?" Bystanders said, "Over at Naoth in Ramah." As he headed out for Naoth in Ramah, the Spirit of God was on him too. All the way to Naoth, he was caught up in a babbling trance. He ripped off his clothes and lay there rambling gibberish before Samuel for a day or night, stretched out naked. People are still talking about it. Saul among the prophets. Who would have guessed? David got out of Naoth in Ramah alive and went to Jonathan. "What do I do now? What wrong have I inflicted on your father that makes him so determined to kill me?" "Nothing," said Jonathan. "You've done nothing wrong, and you're not going to die. Really, you're not. My father tells me everything. He does nothing, whether big or little, without confiding in me. So why would he do this behind my back? It can't be." But David said, "Your father knows that we are best of friends." So he says to himself, "Jonathan must know nothing of this. If he does, he'll side with David. But it's true, as sure as God lives, and as sure as you're alive before me right now. He's determined to kill me." Jonathan said, "Tell me what you have in mind. I'll do anything for you." David said, "Tomorrow marks the new moon. I'm scheduled to eat dinner with the king. Instead, I'll go hide in the field until the evening of the 3rd. If your father misses me, say, 'David asked if he could run down to Bethlehem, his hometown, for an anniversary reunion and worship with his family.' If he says good, then I'm safe. But if he gets angry, you'll know for sure that he's made up his mind to kill me. Oh, stick with me in this. You've entered into a covenant of God with me. Remember? If I'm in the wrong, go ahead and kill me yourself. Why bother giving me up to your father?" "Never," exclaimed Jonathan. "I'd never do that. If I get the slightest hint that my father is fixated on killing you, I'll tell you." David asked, "And whom will you get to tell me if your father comes back with a harsh answer?" "Come outside," said Jonathan. "Let's go to the field." When the two of them were out in the field, Jonathan said, "As God, the God of Israel, is my witness, by this time tomorrow I'll get out of my father how he feels about you. Then I'll let you know what I learn. May God do his worst to me if I let you down. If my father still intends to kill you, I'll tell you and get you out of here in one piece. And God be with you as he's been with my father. If I make it through this alive, continue to be my covenant friend. And if I die, keep the covenant friendship with my family forever." And when God finally rids the earth of David's enemies, stay loyal to Jonathan. Jonathan repeated his pledge of love and friendship for David. He loved David more than his own soul. Jonathan then laid out his plan. "Tomorrow is the new moon, and you'll be missed when you don't show up for dinner. On the third day, when they've quit expecting you, come to the place where you hid before and wait beside that big boulder. I'll shoot 3 arrows in the direction of the boulder. Then I'll send off my servant, go find the arrows. If I yell after the servant, the arrows are on this side, retrieve them. That's the signal that you can return safely, as God lives. Not a thing to fear. But if I yell, the arrows are further out. Then run for it. God wants you out of here. Regarding all the things we've discussed, remember that God's in on this with us to the very end. David hid in the field. On the holiday of the new moon, the king came to the table to eat. He sat where he always sat, the place against the wall, with Jonathan across the table and Abner at Saul's side. But David's seat was empty. Saul didn't mention it at the time, thinking, something's happened that's made him unclean. That's it. He's probably unclean for the holy meal. But the day after the new moon, day 2 of the holiday, David's seat was still empty. Saul asked Jonathan, his son, so where's that son of Jesse? He hasn't eaten with us either yesterday or today. Jonathan said, David asked my special permission to go to Bethlehem. He said, give me leave to attend a family reunion back home. My brothers have ordered me to be there. If it seems all right to you, let me go and see my brothers. That's why he's not here at the king's table. Saul exploded in anger at Jonathan. You son of a slut! Don't you think I know that you're in cahoots with the son of Jesse, disgracing both you and your mother? For as long as the son of Jesse is walking around, free on this earth, your future in this kingdom is at risk. Now go get him. Bring him here. From this moment, he's as good as dead. Jonathan stood up to his father. Why dead? What has he done? Saul, through his spirit, him to kill him. That convinced Jonathan that his father was fixated on killing David. Jonathan stormed from the table, furiously angry, and ate nothing the rest of the day, upset for David and smarting under the humiliation from his father. In the morning, Jonathan went to the field for the appointment with David. He had his young servant with him. He told the servant, run and get the arrows I'm about to shoot. The boy started running and Jonathan shot an arrow way beyond him. As the boy came to the area where the arrow had been shot, Jonathan yelled out, isn't the arrow farther out? He yelled again, hurry quickly, don't just stand there. Jonathan's servant then picked up the arrow and brought it to his master. The boy, of course, knew nothing of what was going on. Only Jonathan and David knew. Jonathan gave his quiver and bow to the boy, sending him back to town. After the servant was gone, David got up from his hiding place beside the boulder, then fell on his face on the ground 3 times, prostrating himself. And then they kissed one another and wept, friend over friend, David weeping especially hard. Jonathan vowed, go in peace. The 2 of us have vowed friendship in God's name, saying, God will be the bond between me and you, and between my children and your children forever. All right, let's get to Psalm 11. This is a psalm of David. I've already run for dear life, straight to the arms of God. So why would I run away now when you say, run to the mountains, the evil bows are bent, the wicked arrows aimed to shoot under cover of darkness at every heart open to God. The bottoms dropped out of the country. Good people don't have a chance. But God hasn't moved to the mountains. His holy address hasn't changed. He's in charge as always, his eyes taking everything in, his eyelids unblinking, examining Adam's unruly brood, inside and out, not missing a thing. He tests the good and the bad alike. If anyone cheats, God's outraged. Fail the test and you're out in a hail of firestones, drinking from a canteen filled with hot desert wind. God's business is putting things right. He loves getting the line straight, setting us straight. Once we're standing tall, we can look him straight in the eye. And now for Psalm 59. A psalm of David when Saul set a watch on David's house in order to kill him. My God, rescue me from my enemies. Defend me from these mutineers. Rescue me from their dirty tricks. Save me from their hitmen. Desperados have ganged up on me. They're hiding in ambush for me. I did nothing to deserve this, God. Crossed no one, wronged no one. All the same, they're after me, determined to get me. Wake up and see for yourself. You're God, God of angel armies, Israel's God. Get on the job and take care of these pagans. Don't be soft on these hard cases. They return when the sun goes down. They howl like coyotes, ringing the city. Then suddenly they're all at the gate, snarling invective drawn daggers in their teeth. They think they'll never get caught. But you, God, break out laughing. You treat the godless nations like jokes. Strong God, I'm watching you do it. I can always count on you. God in dependable love shows up on time, shows me my enemies in ruin. Don't make quick work of them, God, lest my people forget. Bring them down in slow motion. Take them apart piece by piece. Let all their mean-mouthed arrogance catch up with them. Catch them out and bring them down. Every muttered curse, every bare-faced lie. Finish them off in fine style. Finish them off for good. Then all the world will see that God rules well in Jacob, everywhere that God's in charge. They return when the sun goes down. They howl like coyotes, ringing the city. They scavenge for bones and bite the hand that feeds them. And me? I'm singing your prowess, shouting at a cockcrow your largesse. For you've been a safe place for me, a good place to hide. Strong God, I'm watching you do it. I can always count on you, God, my dependable love. And that is it for today's Bible reading. As always, get in touch with God today, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.